Look, the comment was made last week. Is this the greatest winger combination that the Sharks have had of all time? And so the Sharks have got a brilliant history of some great wingers, especially some great combination of wingers. The great Edric Lee comes to mind, Leon Bott. But no, seriously, we've had some absolutely brilliant wingers and also some great centres. And as I bring in the present screen, and thanks to our, if you want to go down a brilliant rabbit hole, you can actually go on to Rugby League Project and actually click on the Sharks and actually look at position by or Sharks players by position. And the great Sasai Feki is actually the Sharks player who has played the most games on the wing. With a 56% win rate, with Ray Corcoran, one of our early trailblazers from those late 60s and 70s teams, being the second most appeared winger, with Luke Cavell, Matt Rogers, Glenn Coleman, Rick Burke, Sione Katoa, Steve Edmonds, Ronaldo, Mulitalo, and Bob Weir. That is a pretty stellar looking list of wingers. So we issued the challenge to the lads during the week to name their greatest ever Sharks winger combinations. So we're going to do our best to go through that now in a 5-to-1 style format. And I'm going to present slideshow there, get that ready, and then I'm going to press stop screen. Look at this, just tech. This is just so good. Well, fingers crossed. Here we go. All right, there it is. Greatest Sharks winners, combinations, all-time panel picks and discussions. Do you agree with the panel? And do you think we've got it right? All right, let's get into it in the Stephen Franklin preferred style and format. So we're trying out
Lies.
today. Whether this is actually
Lies.
This is the way that you said that we should do it. So, all right, coming in fifth on all of our discussions on the fifth greatest Sharks winger combinations. This is where we land. So Kelly's got Luke Cavell and Leon Bott, of all people. Williams had Colin Best and Brett Howland. Franco and I, well, we just know that Franco and I are going to be lined up. So Rick Burke and Steve Edmonds. Latz has gone with the 80s combination to Glenn Coleman and Sean Watson. And yes, I've got Rick Burke and Steve Edmonds. Chris, let's just start with you. Why did you choose, of all partners, for Luke Cavell? Leon Bott, what made you think they were a great combo?
Well, look, Luke Cavell had so many fleeting partners throughout the whole time he was there and carrying those horrible teams that he was on and slotting goals from left, right and centre. So I actually mentioned to you when I did the list that we actually had a lot more better centres than we had wingers combination. So I thought, why not include the one-time game player Leon Bott and put him next to Luke Cavell, because Luke Cavell would just carry Leon Bott anyway. He didn't need anyone else. He was the third-legged winger. He was our slowest winger, but what a goal scorer. So I couldn't find a suitable partner for our favourite Luke Cavell.
What about Missy
Luke Cavell and
Talapapa?
anyone's typically pretty good.
Could have been so many he had so many combinations.
He did.
But it could have been Missy Talapapa.
Could have been.
Could have been Missy Talapapa. Franco, what do you know of Rick Burke and Steve Edmonds?
Rick Burke, been there with the club almost since the beginning, was in 3 with an asterisk of our grand finals. Obviously the third one being the replay, and was also in the winning Amco Cup team. So he's been there through thick and thin, has seen a lot of success. Steve Edmonds, long-term Sharks winner, and they paired up together for quite a many years. So, they were there working hard when the Sharks were sort of formative years and doing really well for the Sharks there. Pretty high on the try scorers list as well. And to go
Rick Burke got a lot of tries.
Got a lot of tries.
He got a try in the 73 grand final too as a replacement.
Yes, he did. So
that one's for you, Williams. I knew you would have said that if you were on the show. So I made sure that I had that. Latz, you had Glenn Coleman and Sean Watson. I know they don't feature on anyone else's list, so we'll talk to them at this point.
Yeah, mate. I remember watching these guys run around the 80s down there at Caltex Field. My mum used to take us down to the games every week, and we'd sit there on the old timber sleeper chairs and watch these guys. I especially have fond memories of Coleman. I remember, especially in that 88 season, he was on fire. He's scoring plenty of tries, and he was one of the fastest blokes around, mate. So for the time, so yeah, went with these guys. And given it was such a
Glenn
good year.
Coleman, they were sixth on my list. Glenn Coleman and Sean Watson.
Okay.
They were
Just
pretty
missed
good.
out.
I hope Les is still watching. I'd love to hear Les's take. And yeah, we've got a few people coming through here. We've got Matt Rodner. We've got SJD telling us that Matt Rogers is the GOAT winger. There's an argument to be made, SJD, that the best winger combination is Matt Rogers and whoever is on the other wing. So that could be an all-time consideration. All right. Anything else? Look, Williams has gone with Colin Best and Brett Howland, which is an interesting combination because Brett Howland typically did play with what he typically played with Matt Rogers and left at the same time as him. So, yeah, interesting choice there for you, Matty. But all right, fair enough. Maybe showing your age there, you young buck. All right, on to the next. Oh, I've got to click over here. All right, cool. All right, so number 4, we've got Ray Corker and Bob Weir on the Kelly list, which is also the same as mine. So, yeah, Chris got that one right. Williams has got Matthew Rieck and Paul Mellor, which was the 2002 combination. Paul Mellor has a very high win rate as a winger. There we have Luke Cavell featuring with another winger. Of course, Franco, as Mena mentioned, his all-time favourite, Nathan Stapleton. and I've got Ray Corcoran and Bob Weir. But look, Lats has come in and said Ronny and Sione only feature 4th on his list. Let's park that, actually. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Whoa.
Franco, why don't you take us through Nathan Stapleton and how good he was as a winger?
Yeah, so, well, Nathan Stapleton was just an out-and-out gun as far as I'm concerned. I know he was underrated, maybe not a favourite of many, but I thought he was really good. And he and Luke Cavell only paired on the wings once, and it was for a loss, but it was still a wing pairing, so it works for this list. I love Luke Cavell, loves Luke Stapleton, so great. Nathan Stapleton, so great way to get them on the list together here. You're right, Missy Telepapa.
Hold on, you're saying that Luke Cavell and Nathan Stapleton are a better wing combination than Rick Burke and Steve Edmonds?
Yeah, sure they are.
Yeah. All right, cool. That is the most ridiculous thing. Okay, cool. They never won a match.
At least I'm not saying Mulitalo and Katoa are 4th best. So I'm absolved.
Oh, look, your deflection by attacking another panel member is not going to be accepted. You just can't say, I'm going to just try and deflect towards Lats. It's not going to work. Luke Cavell was very good. And Nathan Stapleton, sadly, didn't get as many matches for the Sharks as I would have liked. And then in terms of Ray Corcoran and Bob Weir, there's a lot of chat around some try that Ray Corcoran scored where he ran the length of the field down the sideline against Manly or the Roosters or someone, has scored. And Ray Corcoran got, the 73 season, just scored an absolute mountain of tries. Chris, you would have watched a whole bunch of Ray Corcoran matches. What do you make of Ray?
Well, how old are you trying to say I am? This is not real great.
That's why I stayed out. That's why I stayed out of those older players, because I couldn't attest to them because I never saw them play.
Oh, listen, he was nominated. Like I said, he was in the 73 grand final. He was in the early teams of the Sharks. He also was nominated as a winger for the half century of greatest Cronulla Sharks. He's currently still, 40-odd years retired and still the 5th or 6th highest Sharks try scorer in the history of the Sharks. So had to get on that list. Look, he kind of like our combination of Franco's Luke Cavell, Nathan Stapleton. He kind of carried Bob Weir a little bit, but Cochrane was the try scorer and did all the work. We loved Nathan Stapleton. We always knew Franco was his fan favourite. We sort of gave him a bit of stick over it. He's obviously going through his personal struggles at the moment. But if you brought up that list that you had earlier, I was going to point it out where Stapo was sitting in his win rate percentage was about 37%. It was down on the 21st best Sharks winger. So, Franco, I think you better lower your expectations down there, mate. So
you also remember the teams that he was in and what the club was going through most of that time. So,
so was Luke Cavell.
Yeah, Luke Cavell.
I mean, he's got a better percentage
of extra time on him.
Look, Leon Bont's got a 0%
comment for us. So. Not our best winger combination, never played together, but slowest ever wingers ever, John Davidson and Luke Cavell. That's true. They were very slow, those guys. And yes, Scooter, it was Glenn Coleman in the VB ad. Worth calling out that Williams has nominated Matthew Rieck and Paul Mellor here. Paul Mellor played wing for 17 matches in the 2002 season and has an outrageously high win percentage and scored an outrageous number of tries before that was his departure here before coming back to play for us a little bit later. And Matthew Rieck, the smelliest, fastest man, he was electric and did get a whole bunch of tries. So he was a great player too.
Hey, Boldo, how did Paul Mellor score those tries, mate? What was the play? What was the go-to play?
Well, I think it was Chris McKenna throwing in the ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Statue of Liberty, the New
Statue
York
of Liberty
Statue
play.
Of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty New York play. All right, let's move on to 3. All right, so Kelly has now got Ronaldo, Mulitalo. Williams has come up with Matt Rogers and Richie Barnett, who feature a fair bit on this list. Franco has now listed the grand final selection of Valentine Holmes and Sasai Feki. Latz comes in with Matt Rogers and Richie Barnett, as do I. So I guess it makes sense to talk about the great Matt Rogers and Richie Barnett as a combination. Latz, how good were those two?
Mate, they were brilliant, especially that 1997 year, making the Super League final. Matt Rogers, how good. Richie Barnett, dual internationals. I remember watching one game there, Richie Barnett, he was fearless. He went up for this ball, got absolutely belted. I've never seen anyone's nose run like a tap in it in my life. I think he sat out for about 3 or 4 games after it, but just tough as nails, fast, and they were electric, those two. Yeah,
I loved Richie Barnett as a player. He was so good. If you look at it in terms of international status, like Rogers and Richie Barnett were like the gun outside backs for their international teams at the time, which made them very good. But it's tough to argue that basically anyone who played with Matt Rogers was basically the best wing combination.
I've just got to agree with SJD here. When I sent all my mail through to you, Boldo, my Matt Rogers only had 1 T.
So did mine.
With you on that one, SJD.
That's true.
You've seen Boldo's team list in the past, the spelling on the tiers. We know it's a host stuff up.
He just has a bit of auto. Just a bit of autocorrect, bit of chat GPT. It's all good.
A bit of chat GPT. Actually, I just went in and said that. Actually, it is only 1 T. Yeah. Oh well. Look, if that's that's the only mistake I'm going to make on this list is the fact that there's 2 T's in that, because clearly so far my list is the best and the most accurate. All right, well, Franco's come through with the grand final pair of Holmes and Feki. We'll talk about them in a minute because I have a feeling they're about to feature a little bit higher from a few people on this list as we move to number 2. And we have Kelly's come through with Rogers and Howland. Williams has got Holmes and Feki. Franco's got Mulitalo and Katoa. Latz has got Rogers and Howland. Back to that pointer of Rogers and anyone. And then I've come through with Mulitalo and Katoa. Franco, why don't you talk us through your positioning of Mulitalo and Katoa ahead of Holmes and Feki?
I think, as we were talking in the debrief, they're just on fire at the moment. I think, obviously, we will be forever grateful to Holmes and Feki for being part of that grand final team, both through the season and the winning game itself. Even if Feki went off injured partway through, he was clearly a key member of that team. I would say they probably were the first wing pairing, maybe even in the NRL, that the commentators took notice of people coming in off their wing, running hard, doing the tough yards, getting meters, taking the pressure off the forwards so that they could then get back on side and take the last few sets. They really sort of, I would say, were the pioneers for that. However, Mulitalo and Katoa have taken that to the next level. They just are destroying teams in terms of meters gained. And they've also got the flashier finish. The number of times I saw Feki try and barge over in the corner instead of diving for the corner, I was pulling my hair out, mate. Just dive. Don't try and bounce off players. I loved seeing Feki being shot out of a cannon. He had that weird knack of not thinking he was that fast, and then he would just boom straight through the defensive line. It was great. But look, the highlights reel of Mulitalo and Katoa, it just pips them. They're almost a complete package. I think they're great.
The positions evolved so much more over the last few years, the that winger position in terms of the wingers backing up and getting you out of trouble with some big runs, and even the little guys. They're just like Sione's not big, but man, doesn't he tear in?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Awesome. I'm with you, Franco. They do come in off their wing quite a bit, but that's in defence. So,
well, shots fired. Shots fired. I don't. I'll have to go look at the line of the tape, but I don't think the other guys were too crash hot at not coming in off their line. But anyway.
And then Kelly and Latz have both named Rogers and Howland. What is that? The 98 to 2001 winger combination, which certainly was a successful time. I was spewing when Brett Howland left. Good is, if you go back and look at his record, he got a lot of tries. Latz, take us through. You're thinking of putting MATT Rogers and Brett Howland up.
Mate, we're not going to not put Matt Rogers in, but no, mate, Brett Howland, the whippet, how quick was he? He was a machine. Just love seeing him take that ball up in open space, and mate, the tries he scored, I couldn't go past him there, mate. In that 99, I know we lost Rogers for, I think it was about 12 weeks there in 99, was it, with an injury, and then for him to come back and bow out in that game against the Dragons early. But yeah, mate, I couldn't go past them. They were just weapons on the edges there.
You just knew as soon as Rogers went injured in that match that it was.
You knew it was over, mate.
So good for us, and it's just
they hung tight there for a while. But...
just sometimes going through this damn podcast just brings up so many.
I can still see him hobbling off. I can still see him hobbling off the field.
Stop it! Then running on the sideline trying to get it right.
I can still see it.
Oh, that was the worst.
Taped up.
That was absolutely the worst. All right, well, look, let's then go through the final prediction positions. Well, Franco had Rogers and Howland as number one, so I guess we can bring you in now.
Number one,
Franco,
SJD, Matt Rogers, the GOAT. I agree, SJD, the GOAT, Matt Rogers. It was very difficult not to put Matt Rogers and someone else in all five positions here. So in trying to stay true, I just put him at number one, and my favorite wing pairing with him was Brett Howland. Speed, talent, that was just amazing, that combination. They're really good. Obviously a very successful period at the Sharks as well, so great memories.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and then look, Kelly and Latz have got Holmes and Fecky, much like me. I just think that Holmes and Fecky won. Every other combination, zero. Like, they've got the ring. And so, 100%. You saw 100%. the big difference they made is how they trucked the ball up. Yep. And I actually noticed that the Melbourne Storm get back into that grand final when Fecky goes off injured. It was a big moment for us, and Fecky just hit it up. And I know he didn't get as many tries, but just his defense and the way he hit it up, he was just so good for us. And the fact that we had good wingers gave us an all-around strong 1 through 17. And I thought they were critical. And obviously Val got all of those tries. What did he get? 20 tries in that season. I think you just can't go past Holmes and Fecky. Look, Williams' recency bias is just so pronounced there with Mulitalo and Katoa. So I think only Williams was prepared to make them top dog. If they were to win, then maybe we could put them higher. And then Franco didn't have a spot for Richie Barnett in your list at all, mate. Like, come on. Richie Barnett was even better than Brett Howland. Like, come on.
No, I didn't think so. Like I said, if I was gonna put Matt Rogers plus
someone. How many internationals did Brett Howland play?
No, he was sorry. Brett Howland is way better.
He would have been with Kiwi.
Just that big, loose fitting Sharks jersey flowing in the wind as he sped down the sideline.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just going to close this off. Looking at your list, I think all of your lists are wrong and mine's right. Like, how can mine?
I'm just going to say something, guys. Knowing our host, he probably waited till everyone submitted all of their choices
100%.
and then had a look at what was what and researched why we picked what we did and cherry picked the ones that he thought would work, because I don't think there's anything original in Boldo's list at all.
What do you mean? Well,
Fess it.
Yeah, look, I also looked at who else did I look at? I looked at I thought Talapapa and Cavell were also good, and Glenn Coleman and Sean Watson, but I just couldn't find a way to get Paul Mellor and into the. He just didn't play enough as wing, so I couldn't get him in there. Those are the other ones that I considered. But you know that I looked at all of the players and did all that sort of stuff. So anyway, all right. Well, look, we digress. Yes.
You were surprised that I didn't have Mellor in there, but like you said, I didn't think he played enough wing. I'm sure if we had, it was quite difficult to do combinations as well. I think if we had a list of 1 to 5 of just best wingers, it'd be a little bit different. But Dean Carney and Chris Garner, yeah, there's plenty you could have. There's plenty of guys out there we could have had. We all love Missy Talapapa.
I think Scott saw the Daily Messenger play live actually as well.
I think that's right. All right, well, let's move on.